here's where we're at. Engine and trans is back on the cradle. That was fun. I kind of cheated. I didn't want to take loose the trailing arms on the 88 suspension to get the axles out. These are the drive shaft shopped axles right there. So I literally, and then you see the Honda. All right, let's try that again. All right, so I kind of cheated a little bit. I didn't want to take out the axles. As you can see there, those are my drive shaft shop axles for the K-swap. And normally you have to pull all the trailing links loose on the 88 rear suspension and take the axles out, put the engine transmission in place, and then put the axles in. Well, I kind of cheated. So I literally made a triangle out of the engine transmission, slipped this axle in here, and then slipped that one on to the intermediate shaft. Kind of cheated to get it in place. I need to make sure I tap them, make sure they're in all the way, but it does look pretty damn good. I spent some time working with the wiring a little bit. I got some of that, it's like a cloth tape that's used on a lot of European cars. I'm not a big fan of split loom. I think this looks way better and probably lasts a lot longer, and it's really freaking expensive. So a couple people have been asking about how I mounted the K-series onto the Fiero's cradle. I did have to put in that box section on the cradle. I removed the front beam on the cradle and put in a, I think that's 3/16 wall. I want to say it's 2x2 box tubing, and then made a mount. I'm still not happy with that mount, and I'll probably end up changing it, but for now it'll do. One of the problems with doing this swap with something that was already used, like this whole drivetrain was in a Integra. One of the problems with that is I didn't get the factory mounts from the Honda, you know, those cast aluminum pieces. On my 88 down at Euro Pacific Auto, they utilized all the Honda mounts and adapted the cradle to fit. That's probably the better way to do it, because now you're using all stock Honda mounts. And if I had to do it again, that's the way I would do it. The other mount down here is actually a stock Fiero transmission mount, and I just made a bracket to fit. There you go, right there. That's all 1/4 inch. And then the front mount, which is over there on the cradle, the other mount is, oh, let's see where that's at. Oh, it's right there. And then that is the upper head mount. Yeah, don't judge. This is my early days of learning how to do metal fab and welding. But, you know, it's on. It holds. It works. This used to be part of a Hasport mount from that Integra. But engine bay is ready. I still need to change over that one heater hose line. This is what I'm using. It's going to go into the stock hard line that runs underneath the car along the gas tank. And you can see this is the section which is all original Fiero that I cut out. There's the cut that goes onto the hard line with a spider in it. So this all right here was one big extra loop, because this right here is under the car, but the way it's bent and routed, it kicks all the way up, and it used to live up here, and then I would take it and run it all the way over and loop it around to the side of the head. So you gotta think it's coming from about by the alternator all the way over around. It's literally just gonna come straight through and down. I'm looking for a 1/2 inch pipe bender, the old style, the kind that you roll the pipe on, because I'd love to make a hard line for that and just use short pieces of hose. So that's one of the things I'm working on. Oh, here's the other mount. This is the upper trans mount. It's really simple. Turns out it's a lot like the MR2 guys use. Hux, I think it is. It's pretty similar to that. All right, I think I'm going to call it quits here for tonight. Do have the engine back. Well, that scared the shit out of me. All right. Oh, all right, where were we? All right, I'm going to call it quits for the night. I've got the engine in the car. She is bolted in place over here and over there on the trans mount, and then the lower mount down there. And we ain't even going to try to see the one on the other backside. Started getting everything hooked up. The wiring's hooked up back to the... all right, this is harder than it looks to do. All right, so we're running the GM Maxi Fuse setup. The Fiero just used a power distribution block that goes right here, which is unfused. But in Pontiac's defense, there are fusible links on the wires running up to it, which are right there. I'm a big fan of keeping everything fused, so that's why I added the Maxi Fuse off of like a, you know, anything, GM, truck, you know, LS, anything like that. They all have those. That's where that came from. All right, so we got the return fuel line hooked up on this side. The feed is still yet to be put on, but man, there's so much more space over there now that I deleted that. You can barely see the little socket head cap there, plug, from the secondary air injection. I took that crap off because it was right in the way of that, putting the AN fitting on the fuel rail. I still have no idea what brand fuel rail that is. If anybody knows, let me know. I've never seen that logo before. It went well. That corner lower mount for the cradle there fought me a little bit. This is an 88 cradle in this car. It's not the one that was in this car when I had a Cadillac V8 in here. So the kit car builder that ruined my car, you know, I sold it. I think everybody knows the story where I was moving to England. Everybody told me I couldn't take a nitrous Cadillac V8 Fiero to the UK and be able to drive it on the streets. And then, of course, when I got there, they're like, yeah, that would have been no problem. You're military, so you get a special SVA. And I was like, lovely. So fast forward 15 years later, somehow I ended up with my car again, which is amazing. And anyway, the kit car builder stripped this car for parts for his stupid kit car. And so this isn't just an engine swap. It's taken well over 2 years to do this. I literally am rebuilding this car up from the ground up, as you can see. If you can deal with watching, you know, my videos when I first started, when I couldn't edit for shit, this car's come a long, long way. But yeah, getting her buttoned up over here. Got a lot of the wiring redone. I do have to run the power wire, which is this one right here. No, this one. I have to run this one over to the C500 there. That is the wire that goes down to the reverse lights. So this is the green and white stripe, and it actually connects to a green wire over there on the C500 to make the Honda Trans actuate the Fiero's backup lights. That was a big one. Got that figured out, but I've got the line over on my workbench, way over in that back corner where I got my soldering station. So I gotta do up the wiring for that and then get it into the harness. No big deal. I also am going to use a couple of wires that are unused out of that C500 to run the oil pressure white and green wires. No sense in running all new wires out here and having to add new wires to the bulkheads when I've already got wires that are being unused in the original wiring harness. And of course the C500, I'll take you over there in a second, but you can see how much I broke out of that harness that isn't used. So I got lots of options for wires that I don't have to run all the way back here because they're already part of the original harness, which is a good one. But yeah, I gotta get it buttoned all up. Axles are back in. Gotta get the wheel woods and all that. Brakes all set back up. Get the parking brake cables, all that. But I'm really gonna call it for tonight. It's one of the things that sucks about being total and permanently disabled vet. I can only work so long, and if I push it too hard, I'll be useless for a few days. So it is what it is. Just sucks getting old. But yeah, I finally, after buying them twice, got those new socket head cap screws. No, actually, those are button head cap screws for the Wilwood master cylinder. I've lost those twice and bought them twice. So this time I come back from the hardware store and put them right in because I don't want to buy them again. But for those who don't know, there's the master cylinder, the Wilwood setup to run their D154 geometric calipers. And over there sits a Honda Civic clutch master cylinder that pretty much bolted right onto the Fiero to actuate the clutch. So yeah, I'm hoping, tomorrow, wrong way. I'm hoping the next few days to be able to take this old girl out. We've got some snow coming in, and this thing's sitting on about 15-year-old dry rotted tires, so that would make things quite interesting. All right, everybody, we are back, and it is time to get this thing running and driving. What is Pokemon? That's the jack. Oops. Yesterday we got quite a bit done. I was able to get the engine transmission back into the car. It actually, I've done this about a bazillion times, so it's no big deal. A little tricky doing it by yourself, so be safe out there. But all right, we're on that last 10%, which of course takes 90% of the time to finish. I'm trying something new with the camera setup. I'm hoping this will make things a little bit better cinematically. I want to say we just got a huge jump in subscribers, and if you suffered through my original, 20 videos or so where I was learning how to shoot videos and more importantly edit them, I appreciate you sticking around this long because they're pretty rough. I've been thinking about going back and remastering them, but that's a lot of work. I'd rather just get this done. So I think all we got left to do is do up the wiring, do a nut and bolt check, get the rear brakes and all that set up back on, wire in the new oil pressure gauge. Now I'm just going to loosely wire it in back here at the engine bay. Just when I do the test fire, I'll disable the injectors in the Haltech ECU and just crank it over and see if we have oil pressure. I don't see that we should. I hope we don't have an issue there, but we'll see. And so anyway, disable the injectors in Haltech, crank it over, verify that we have oil pressure, and then it's a matter of re-enable the injectors in the Haltech, and off we go for that first test drive, which would be fantastic. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate all y'all's support, especially my people on Honda Nation on Facebook. You guys have been so receptive to this build. It's humbling and it's awesome at the same time that these oddball cars, you gotta remember, I've been in Fiero since the 90s, so they were cool. They were, secondhand used cars. They were, the butt of all the jokes about fires. How's that McLaren Senna working out for you there, Salamandra? So, yeah, my car's 30 plus years old, no fires. Imagine that. So anyway, back through the process, they were cool, they were used, they were butt of a lot of jokes, they were just kind of disposable cars. Hell, people used to drop them off at my shop in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Oh, you guys do Fieros, right? Here, you can have this one. Just come get it, So we went through that. Now they're kind of getting cool again with the younger crowd. Every time I take my 88 out, everybody's like freaking out. And so it's like super cool to that younger crowd. And it's just like weird how it went full circle like that. But I love them. I'll always have one, if not a couple. And yeah, enough jibber jabber. Let's get to work. All right, well, today is the day we're going to figure out the throttle cable situation. We're at the point of no return now because I've already removed the end off the stock Fiero throttle cable. All you gotta do is cut the crimp right there. I've got a hydraulic crimping tool, so not a problem. We'll be able to get the Honda in, which is over in the vise. I've got a piece of copper shoved inside the sleeve that gets crimped, and I'm using copper because when I weld it, the weld won't stick to the copper. At least that's the plan. We're at the point of no return here, so if I'm not driving the car in the next couple days, it's because I screwed this part up. So let's get this done. Here goes nothing. let that cool, get it over on the bench grinder, belt sander, clean this up. Hopefully get this piece of copper back out and see what happens. Ta-da! Welded it. Clean up the end. And that's what the copper looks like after I welded on it. Cool stuff. Alright, well I got the car running again. I was able to get the oil pressure gauge wired in using the existing Fiero wiring for the tach. And luckily enough, it goes all the way, what's on my face? Luckily enough, it goes all the way up to the dash. I think it's like pin number 5 or whatever on the connector that used to plug into the instrument panel. And the gauge works, so that's pretty sweet. Watch this, check it out. And I've got the wire connected, so when I turn on the headlights, it goes to amber to match what used to be the stock gauges. In hindsight, I should have got the one that went blue, because that would have matched the IQ3 dash, but it is what it is. Alright, so I got the car running. Alright, so there you have it, folks. I'm sorry we won't be able to drive it in this episode. I've done what I could to get us there. I believe the car is almost ready once I get the battery swapped out. Unfortunately, the weather's not going to cooperate. Maybe if we get a break, I think sometime the end of the week we might be high somewhere in the 50s. If so, then in the following episode we'll get a drive. But I didn't want to keep waiting to release the video for when we were actually finally drive. But when we do, which will be this episode, obviously, the next one we'll get a lot of drive time. Hopefully. Nothing great. But I appreciate your patience, and I am plugging away on this. It's just a few little button-up issues, but more importantly, it's just the weather stopping us. So I knew that would be an issue at some point, but, well, here it is. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode. Oh, will it work? Will it be over here? Hey, it does. Check that out. That's the 4th time I've hit my head on this cross beam.